Hey, I'm Mike.
Hey, I'm Ethan.
I watched the first half of Waterworld.
I watched the second half of Waterworld.
And this
is the other half.
Bombs away! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This month, we will be discussing big budget movies that bombed at the box office.
Hell yeah.
That were like massive box office flops, but also cost a shit ton of money to make.
Hell yeah.
Really
we want to see the effects and the money on the screen.
Yeah.
And none of it pay off.
And none of it, and empty seats in theaters.
As big Cats fans.
Yeah, big Cats fans.
We want to see if there's any other hidden gems in here that are like, look at this audacity.
I know. Like, the audacity on screen, the absolute confidence that these people had to waste everyone's money and time and effort to, like, bore people to death or, disappoint people.
Or put their crews through absolute hell.
Like this movie did.
Like this movie.
Holy shit. We started off on a big one, a movie that obviously neither of us had seen, but I think both of us were aware of.
Oh, we're well aware because
of the stunt show at Universal
the stunt show at
Studios.
Universal is iconic.
Yes.
It is better than the movie.
100%.
It is very cool, and I didn't realize how much goodwill that stunt show brought
this
to this movie for me.
It's really every great aspect of the movie is in that stunt show.
Yeah.
Like the setting, the stunts, the action.
But the stunt show is also a quarter of the length of this movie.
It's also very limited on characters, particularly the main character, who is the worst piece of shit on earth. I hated.
Oh, you
the
did
main
not
guy.
like Kevin Costner.
He's already. I don't like the guy. I don't think he's a good actor.
Yeah.
But also the character he plays in this.
He doesn't have a name. He's called the Mariner, I think.
I refer to him as Mariner because that's what I remember the lady screaming every 5 minutes in the stunt show.
Yeah, that's basically.
Mariner! So I just wrote down Mariner because I knew the stunt show.
Yeah.
So he's just a bad character. Like, he's just a bad guy who's like,
hey man, he's not even a guy, dude.
Oh right, he's a mutant.
He's a mutant fish man. Is that what they call him?
They call him mutos.
Oh my god. You know what? Maybe I am ready for Furiosa whenever it comes out because I'm just like I'm here sucking up this post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
I love the sets of this movie so much.
I did too. I love the sets.
The way this movie looks is just like everyone looks so fucking gross and dirty.
Yeah.
Disgusting and sweaty. Like you can smell everyone in this movie.
I know. I also really liked the world that they created.
Yeah. The water world.
The water world that they created.
I want to splash in there and swim. You know, who cares if humans' basic needs are not met and most people are dead? It seemed like a cool place to live.
It does. Like, watching the movie, I was telling my wife and was like, I think they could make a really good anime off of this because the villain is super theatrical.
Yeah.
You follow this sort of quiet protagonist throughout. You have this amazing world that's created with cool backstory and lore.
Hey, it's basically One Piece.
You can do a lot with this, I think. But instead of making it a fucking 3-hour-long movie, maybe just make it into a series, you know? Make it into a little anime series.
Or even just a regular mini series or something. Because there's something here. It's just
we're following the wrong guy.
We're following the wrong people.
Yeah.
And it would be because there could be definitely they set up an idea of a sequel.
I'm not surprised. I feel like they thought this was going to be a whole.
Well, they had to. They put
series.
So much money into it.
Waterworld 2.
Yeah.
Back to the water.
I think I'm with you though. I enjoyed the vibes of this movie a lot.
Me too.
I enjoyed everything about it except for the characters were just the most. The stage show, you kind of got the gist of it from there.
You don't need, and especially, I think my favorite character in the movie is the villain, is Denis Hopper, is Deacon or whatever.
He's fun, Deacon.
He rocks.
Yeah, he's having a great time.
He's having so much fucking fun. He's so over the top. He kind of reminds me of his same character in the Mario Brothers movie.
I was gonna say the same thing. He's just like Bowser.
He's like Bowser from the Mario
He's
Brothers
having a great
movie.
time chewing up the scenery.
Love him.
Over the top. Love him.
I love him. Helen's pretty cool.
She's fine.
She's fine.
She seems like a normal character, which is what this movie needed. Against Kevin Costner, just weird. How do you describe him? He's just the loner, but to the max.
He's a mean loner who's okay.
He does the thing where he's like, "I know better than you" all the time.
The thing about the movie too is it's essentially a western, but rather than being in the desert, it takes place in the ocean.
Yeah,
but they have little communities, that are run by sheriffs. They have the big bads that come into town and rustle everyone up, and then we have the lone gunman without a name who travels from town to town, saving women and children.
Special powers so you can breathe underwater.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it feels like a western movie kind of. But I don't know, man. I was down for this movie. The first like 30, 40 minutes, I was like, this is pretty great.
Yeah.
And then I was like, a movie fucking nosedived after that. It like sunk to the bottom of the ocean.
Because I actually, honestly, for the most part, had
a good time.
Had a blast in this movie, except for the last fourth.
Interesting.
The last fourth was the nosedive moment for me, where I was like, because it's a long movie, and it's
too
like
long. It's way too long.
And the movie does the thing kind of similar to Return of the King or whatever, where it's just like a false ending and just will not end.
Yeah, that's weird. Because like it has an obvious ending, like get to Dryland.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing. So so the movie opens with the Universal logo.
What does it turn into? Is it just I got it.
Go ahead.
Obviously,
I know.
Obviously,
Yep.
the continents are there, and then they get covered by water because of the picture of the world.
That is exactly what happens. And the camera sees the world, like the ocean, the sea levels rise, and the camera like is like flying into the earth. And I'm like, oh, what a clever like visual way of getting across what's going on. And then all of a sudden you hear
the future. The polar ice caps have melted, covering the earth with water. Those who survived have adapted to a new world.
Oh yeah,
Those who survived
people are dumb.
adapted.
They're not going to understand it.
No, you literally show the audience what happened. We still need it is the guy from those like old in a world trailer voice. And man, I think that's why I honestly think that's kind of why I liked certain aspects of this movie. It's because like these are the movies I grew up on.
Yes, it feels like that. It feels like this is like an old ass blockbuster.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not that good, but it has that feeling of like expansive world. People thought about it a lot.
Real stunts
with
it's real
gritty.
people.
Everyone looks gross.
Real
Everyone
sets.
looks miserable.
Yeah.
Everyone
looks unhappy.
They're probably not getting paid enough.
No.
But it's over the top and cheesy, but it's also very earnest about and believes everything. There's no wink. There's no nod.
No.
There's no goofiness to it. It's a very serious movie about this outlandish bullshit. Like,
I think it's why it reminds me also so much of like Mad Max Fury Road, where it is like that movie's also super earnest.
Or Mad Max.
Or Mad Max in general. But like Fury Road is the one that I think is the best, and it definitely makes me think of that. It's like very earnest, very straightforward, but Mad Max doesn't outstay its welcome.
Here's the thing about Mad Max. It has a purpose and a journey, and it follows that the whole way through. This movie loves the meander like you're lost at sea.
That's why I think it would work well as a series.
I agree. I think it would work. I think it would be
animated. I think it'd be
or
really
a stunt
cool
show.
Too. Or a stunt show. A very short 13-minute stunt show.
A lot of water.
Movie opens with Kevin Costner, and he's pissing into a cup. And then he takes the piss cup and he pours it into a machine that will turn it into like drinkable water.
Nice.
And then he takes the drinkable water and he drinks it and he gargles and he spits it out. And I'm like, what a great way to establish like the quality of this movie. Just like a man pissing in a cup and then drinking his piss and gargling it.
I have so many questions because like, does he not need fresh water? Because he's a fish man. He swims in the water all the time.
Maybe he doesn't.
He gargles
want to
it.
drink
He spits it out.
He spits it out.
But why does he even gargle it? What's the point of that? All I have is questions.
And none of them will
Is
be
it maybe his
answered.
weird Muto powers where he's like, I can breathe underwater, but also I gotta drink my piss every so often.
I gotta drink my piss.
But only after it's been processed. It tastes better that way. I can't even really drink it. I just gargle it in my mouth.
Yeah. He drinks a little bit of it, but he mostly uses it to gargle and clear his throat out.
So he does drink it.
Yeah, he does
so
drink
like,
it.
does he need it? I don't know. Questions.
And then all of a sudden he hears something. And so he dives into the water and he doesn't come up for a very long time, which is where it's sort of established to us as the audience that his like he must be able to stay underwater for a very long time. And while he's gone, we see his ship all alone. We see all the objects on it. We see he has a little plant that's growing on it. And we also see that he set up some kind of timer that sends a bag underwater, and then when the timer goes off, it'll pop the bag back up above water. And then I don't know why he did this. I learned later on the bag has
Is it like a trap thing for fish?
I think it's a bag full of dirt, which is like super valuable nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's what was in the bag, basically.
Okay, that makes sense.
He comes back up from under the water and he sees another ship, and it's a drifter. And apparently there's a rule in Waterworld where when two drifters meet, something must be exchanged.
A kiss. A single smooch.
That would be pretty great. Yeah. Although, man, Kevin Costner, I don't want to smooch that guy.
I don't want to smooch anyone in this movie.
Everyone looks too dirty.
Everyone looks so nasty.
Yeah.
Like, please give him a regular shower.
That's true. So he sees the drifter, and the drifter ends up stealing fruit from his boat. So while he was under the water, the drifter came over, stole fruit from his boat. All of the fruit. Which is super valuable.
Yeah.
But he didn't steal the plant, which I thought was very weird. And then smokers arrive.
So there are plants here.
Well, there are plants, but they're very, very, very like valuable and very rare.
So clearly Dryland exists if plants are still around, right?
No, that's why dirt is so valuable too, because you need to find the dirt somewhere too.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I mean, dude, I don't fucking know.
I love it.
I know.
I love
it's
it.
Just
I love
there.
just they just have it there. It makes you question it. Like, oh, dirt.
Why
there.
is that there? So smokers arrive. Mariner tries to beat the smokers who are on water bikes.
Why are they called smokers?
Because they smoke and they use gasoline. Everyone else uses like the sails and the wind. Honestly, that's one of the things I actually really dig about this movie is like you see other people, drifters, people like Kevin Costner, other civilizations, and they almost always use some kind of like renewable energy. You know, they use like solar power, they use like generators, but the smokers don't give a shit about like because obviously the, you know, water rose because of, you know, greenhouse gases and all that shit. They don't care. They don't care about any of that. So they, you know, use gasoline.
I love that metaphor, but to be fair, there's not many people left on the world. I don't think running around burning gasoline that much is really going to do much of a
They might
damage.
run out of gasoline. That's the thing, is they don't care about any of that shit.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
And like that ends up coming into play later in the movies. They're like, what are we going to do with the gasoline? Like, what happens if it runs out? And Deacon is like, it'll never run out.
I also call him Deacon. I love it because he's basically created a cult. Like he's just like, this is a cult for people who are obsessed with
smoking,
just getting bigger things, going fast, smoking,
using
and being,
like
just
bullets,
using thing like life is expendable. Whatever, let's just go. Like that's his whole kind of church vibe.
Yes, exactly. It feels like a cult. It again, it reminds me a lot of. It reminds me a lot of like the Mad Max.
Like this is Bullet Town sort of shit.
Yeah, 100%.
Just oil land or whatever, oil town.
Exactly.
Thing,
And I dig that. I like that. And like you see their hideaway and it's very like grimy and brown and gross and disgusting and evil looking.
Yeah.
And then you see everyone else's and it's sort of like green and like watery and stuff. I don't know. It's like, again, just good visual like language. Again, not really something I feel like you see very often in like certain kinds of like big budget movies like this.
Yeah, it's very true. I agree with that. Or it just kind of looks like a mess, a CGI mess.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I don't know, it gets overly designed or something. And everything here is like pretty simple. You know?
Very straightforward, like color schemes and stuff that work and establish what we're going for, basically. So the smokers show up. They want to like take down the Mariner. Mariner goes to retrieve his mysterious bag, and his ship is slow, but he ends up actually getting the bag, and he destroys the drifter ship. And then he arrives at a community to trade dirt. They open the gates to let the Mariner in because he shows them that he is dirt. And the sheriff of the community shows up, and he's just like, yo, I don't want any trouble. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't want any trouble either. I just want to sell the dirt. So he trades the dirt, and he gets exactly what he wants, like a good amount of money. Word gets around. People don't believe that he has pure dirt. That's crazy. And then we also learn about Enola, who's a little girl that showed up one day with markings on her back that will lead to dry land.
Enola looked like Haley Joel Osment to me for the longest time.
She's apparently Deb from Napoleon Dynamite. It's the same actor.
As like a little girl. Wild.
Yeah, I know.
Huh.
So she's fine as like a little girl in the movie.
Honestly, she's pretty good.
She's not bad.
Yeah, she's not super annoying, despite the fact that they call her annoying multiple times. But she does like annoying things that like, I don't know. It's something about like a character, she knows she's annoying, so she's acting annoying, as opposed to what I feel like other movies that are like, this kid's cute. Look at them talk
Look
a
how
lot.
precocious they are.
Yeah. And it's like, no, it's annoying.
No, she
does a good line of being actually is okay.
She is protected by Helen, who is, when we meet her, she runs a shop merchant. She's like a shop merchant. Mariner shows up to buy a tomato plant from her, which is incredibly expensive, but he still pays for it because he wants like fresh food, basically.
I love her costume. It's a cool costume.
Helen's costume. What's her costume?
Her costume is basically like a bag, but they made it look cool because they put like weird netting around the whole thing.
Oh,
and it, like,
it
cuts through her. It's weird because it like cuts through her like legs, so you can see her legs and her butt, which is weird. It's just a little line though. And I'm like, this is so impractical. Why would anyone design it like this?
I don't think that's how I'm assuming Helen is also the lady in the stunt show. I don't think that's how she's dressed in the stunt show.
No, because it's not very good for stunts.
It's not practical.
No.
You're right. Random people offer. Oh yeah, this part's awful. Mariner's about to leave. He wants to leave, and these random people show up and they're like, "Hey, do you want to impregnate this little girl for us?"
What?
And he's like, no, I'm good. And they're like, there must be something wrong with you. You've been out on the ocean for so long and you don't want to impregnate this little girl. What's the matter with you? He must be wrong. Let's not let him go. We need to figure out what's wrong with him. So they close the gates up.
What did they literally say? Impregnate this little girl?
Yeah.
What did they say? Little girl?
I mean, she is a little girl, and they're like, why don't you want to impregnate this girl, basically? But it's like, she's obviously like a little girl, and they're like, there must be something wrong with them. Any man would want to impregnate this girl. And this is where the movie starts to get a little bit dicey. And then it's revealed he has gills. So they attack him, and they take his shoes off. And it's revealed that he also has really webbed feet.
Those feet are so gross.
They're so gross
so
looking.
gross, dude.
It's not a good effect either. Like, it doesn't look good.
It just looks like he just has nasty shit between his feet.
Yeah, exactly. Just clean your feet out.
Yeah,
I don't think you're a mermaid. Sheriff shows up, and he's like, guys, why do you want to kill him? He hasn't done anything wrong. And they're like, he's a mutant. He's probably a spy for the smokers. And they're like, we need to let's put him in jail, and we'll rip apart his like boat and like look through his stuff, and then we'll make a decision as to whether or not he's dangerous, basically.
Okay.
So it's night.
I was kind of, honestly, when I watched my half of the movie, I was like, I wonder what happens in the first half, because I feel like I'm pretty good.
Honestly, you probably were.
I feel like I'm pretty good. I don't even really know the rest of this shit.
This part of the movie takes place where the stunt show takes place, by the way, in a very similar looking, like,
I felt like it was going to be similar to that because I never
area.
saw it.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. So it's night. Mariner's tossed in a jail cell. People look through his shit, and they suspect harmless things are being weapons. Like, at one point, they're like, look at this. This is some evil torture device, and it's like a flute. Yeah. And they're like, this is used to crush heads, and it's just like an exercise thing to like you put in between your legs.
He just has a bunch of like weird old stuff.
Right. But they all think it's weaponry, and so they're like, we must kill him. And this actually like makes the sheriff suspect that maybe he is dangerous. And then Helen shows up, and she's like, he had dirt. What if he can help us? What if he can get us to dry land? And all of the people are now it's a mob, and they're like, no, he can't be trusted, and neither can that strange girl Enola. We should kill the both of them. So they're just like turning into like a weird like mob, basically. Okay. And now Helen's like, oh shit, I don't want them to kill Enola. So then we cut to Enola. She's all by herself, like drawing, and she's drawing like a horse, and everyone's like, what is that?
Yeah.
What's a horse? Because I've never seen a horse before. And then this weird old man shows up. His name is Gregor. Do you see Gregor in your half of the movie?
You do see Gregor.
Right. He's played
got
by
a flying machine?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's cool. He's played by this actor that was in like The Green Mile. He's like a really good. There's a lot of character actors in this movie. Like, when Mariner sells dirt, the guy that buys the dirt from him is the super from the Big Lebowski, that he's like, hey dude, you want to come to my show? I'm doing this fun like thing. It's that guy.
Weird.
There's a lot of like cool like character actors
from the 80s.
It's great. And 90s. So Gregor's there, and he's trying to figure out the markings on Enola's back, but he can't figure it out. He's sort of like a mad scientist. And he's like, I must figure out what this means. I must figure all this out. And then Enola's like, why don't you go ask the guy in the prison? He might know a thing or two. So Gregor goes to talk to him. And Mariner's like, if you let me out, then I'll tell you what you need. I'll tell you where Dryland is. But he's like, I don't know if I can do that. And then everyone's like, Gregor, get away from that like cage. And he's like, okay. And then he does it. And then the very next day, they've decided to put Mariner to death. They're going to drop him into like, I think, sewage waste that is like poisonous or something.
I remember that in the Stunt Show.
I don't remember that.
There's a thing that says like toxic or something, and someone gets kicked into it.
There you go. So they're gonna put him into toxic waste, but then all of a sudden the smokers arrive, and they're led by Denis Hopper. And the smokers get in. I just wrote absolute fucking chaos. Gregor accidentally pulls a switch, causing his flying machine to like expand, and he was originally going to use it to help Helen and Enola, but now it's expanding.
His flying machine makes no freaking sense.
No, it doesn't. It's literally just like an umbrella, or not an umbrella. It's like a balloon.
It's a balloon. That's like a crazy. It's like the homeless version of the Up House.
Right, exactly.
With propellers. It's like that and a blimp combined.
Yes. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Like,
but he's a mad scientist,
what is
right?
it filled with? Is it helium? Because you're not going to.
There's no
We're
way.
running out of helium now. There's no way you get helium there.
No.
Is it hydrogen? Maybe that shit will explode.
It's best to not think too much about it.
Okay.
Right? So Helen gets...
but I want to. That's what this movie makes me want to do.
You want to explore more.
There's so many interesting things. This is what Star Wars... Like, the thing is like... This is what Star Wars was until everyone fucking mined the shit out of it, and now every little thing has an explanation.
Yeah.
And before it was just like, what if you just questioned it? Just thought about it a little bit.
Yeah,
and like had your own little
bit of mystery.
But you didn't have people like making fucking YouTube video essays and writing on their fandoms about like this one random
and
guy
arguing
and, like,
over
what he
jizz
does.
music and shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's the thing with like movies nowadays is, you know, they're all based on like comics or whatever, like previous lore.
They know
stuff.
that there's a hunger out there for people,
And so they're gonna write all that shit in when
Yeah.
it doesn't fucking matter, man.
I think
like
also
what is that movie Rebel Moon?
Rebel Moon.
That shit has all that bullshit all in it.
Yeah.
And did it?
And he
help
wants to
that
make it
movie
into a 6-figure movie.
And did that movie any good? No, because they worry too much about this stuff like this.
I also wonder how much of it plays into the fact that like so much of these sets are like tactile and all the shit they're like dealing with is tactile, and so you question more like how is this working? You know what I mean?
that might be it too.
Like,
how did they do? Like this is an impressive effect. How
yeah.
did they do this?
How
as
did they
opposed to,
actually?
like,
and then that like
CGI or
that
whatever.
translates into you going like, well, wait, how did this work even in like universe? Like one is like, yeah, how did they
Yeah.
do this like on set? This is really impressive. But then you're like, well, yeah, how did they actually like build this? How did they like,
Yeah.
you know, who designed
the
this?
practicality of it, like I'm not gonna say like CGI is bad.
No,
or
no,
anything like
that's
that.
what I'm not saying.
But I
yeah.
am saying the practicality of these sort of the way this movie is shot and the way it's set up, it leads a sense of so much believability that it makes you feel that like, wait, this is an interesting thing. It doesn't really make sense, but it makes me question it. It makes me wonder, as opposed to just be like, that's stupid.
I read up a bit about this set, which is actually kind of sad because it only takes place in my half of the movie for like 35 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Never again. This thing was the most expensive set ever built. It was the size of like a football field.
Yeah.
Because it had to fit all this shit in it, and it was like a real working set, and it was like, and it took like.
Was it actually out at sea?
Yes.
That's what's crazy.
Well,
all
it
this
was-
stuff was shot out at sea.
And it was built to both be out at sea or be built on a giant turntable so that they could move it depending on where the light was.
Fucking crazy.
Which is insane. And it took a team of people working around the clock 24 hours a day, like months to finish it and complete it. They had to ship in giant pieces of metal because they shot this in Hawaii. And they needed to ship in pieces of metal because they ran out of all like metal scrap in Hawaii, so they needed to like fly more in from like California and shit to finish the set.
Wow.
Absolutely insane shit, and it's sad because you don't really see very much of it. It's not like
No.
where the rest
But
of
that's
the movie
what's kind of
takes
cool
place.
about it,
I
though,
agree.
too.
I
Right?
agree.
They built this
yeah.
whole thing just for like a couple, maybe a eighth of the movie or something.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's
It's
amazing.
nuts.
And yeah, apparently it was.
There's even, can I tell you? There's even a crazier set piece later on.
I can't wait.
I'm so excited to tell you.
And apparently it was super impractical to shoot in this fucking thing. They decided to shoot in Hawaii, I think for like multiple reasons, but they didn't think about like the weather, and so they had to constantly like stop because of like hurricanes and like all that shit. And it was just absolutely like a nightmare to shoot this fucking movie. They built this massive set and they could barely film in it because of like how impractical it was.
All of us think this is very cool, but I imagine like
it
at the
was
time,
miserable.
Like someone who worked on that set is now sitting in the volume at Disney's studio and is like, "This is the life, man. I don't have to do anything. I just make these little models and it appears on the screen."
I understand why it is a practical set, but at the same time, it's also an impractical set. You know what I mean?
Hey, put that on the back of the box, baby.
So Helen gets Mariner out of his cage. The three of them take his ship out of there.
You think she wants his Mariner?
Well, I will get to that.
No, okay.
I will get to that. She wants to see his gills.
Yeah.
She wants to web his feet.
Is there anything else webbed down there?
I know, exactly. Yeah, is it all fish?
What if his balls are webbed to his penis?
They have to
And
like,
he like swims with it?
they have to fuck in the water. He's just like shoots his sperm. Like, what is it? Like how fish do? Where they like.
Oh, they just spew it
spawn?
everywhere?
Yeah, exactly.
Spunk everywhere?
Yeah.
sure.
So the smokers accidentally blow themselves up. There's this one really great part where there's one smoker on a ship with like a giant like turret, and he's just like shooting like
I love dipshit bad guys.
incoherently.
Yeah.
And I wrote down he looks like Justin McElroy.
Sure,
And he's
okay.
just like shooting like into whatever, and he starts shooting into like Dennis Hopper's ship, and Dennis Hopper's like, "Adios, cousins," and he jumps off the ship just as it's about to explode, and it's just like he doesn't care. Like human life doesn't matter to
No.
him.
He
You
also
know?
calls everyone cousins, which is very funny.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's the sort of thing where it's like we're a brotherhood, but
Instead
we're not
of brothers,
that
we're
close.
like cousins.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
It's really funny.
It's great. So there's another bad guy with long hair. I don't know what his name is.
Oh, he's got big long hair, right?
big long
I love
blonde
that
hair.
guy.
He's also after Enola, and he was the spy for the smokers all along. Nobody suspected him because he wasn't a mutant. Hopper now has an eye patch after the explosion. And he does this interesting thing where like
So unlike Indiana Jones, which we watched earlier.
Oh, yes.
villain actually gets disfigured.
Yes. And it's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Very cool.
It's wild because he mentions at one point, I think you recognize me like this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you always had this eye patch. Yeah, sure,
no. Yeah, no, he didn't have it at the very beginning. And then this happens after this big explosion. And yeah, he's got to replace his eye basically. And I don't know how long this has been after the water's risen. But Mariner goes off in this whole thing. No, sorry, not Mariner. Deacon Hopper goes off and Dennis Hopper goes off in this whole thing where basically he's created a religion to explain, one, evolution isn't real, and two, God wanted the ocean levels to rise. It's like, like it happened, and so this is where like the world basically started. Is like God wanted this to happen, and so that's the way it was. And it was like, sure, but it's also like probably due to like climate change made by man-made, things.
Nah, we are all sinless.
And this is what's so good about it. It's like I can see this happening. Like you already kind of see this like idea where it's like, you know what? If it happens, that's just what it's going to happen. Like that's, like
we got to make the best of it and we got to continue our mission.
And the idea of like the lack of like what is it? It's being like forcefully ignorant of like the actual consequences of people's actions.
That's also the lack of compassion or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
In any human, it's just like whatever. We're just here to get as much as we can, live life to the fullest.
To chew everything up and eat it all, and doesn't really matter. So we cut back to Mariner. He's got the girl and the woman on the ship, and he's like, there's not gonna be enough rations for everyone, so we should probably kill the little girl. And Helen's like, no, I don't want to kill. We just saved her. We gotta make sure the little girl's safe. And he's like, well, there's not enough for everyone, so it's probably better we just kill her now. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? And she's like, wait, hey, Enola, why don't you go inside the ship while me and Mariner talk for a bit? And Enola goes in the ship, and Helen's like, hey, look, that guy was right. You have been out on the sea for a little too long. And she starts like stripping like in front of him, trying to seduce him, just to go like, if you like, fuck me, then maybe, we keep the girl safe. And
what?
Yeah. And then he's like, you know what? Maybe I'll kill the both of you. And then he just like leaves her like standing there naked, humiliated, and like goes off and is like, all right, I'm not going to kill you guys yet, but I'll, if things get bad, I'll kill you later, basically. And I'm like, oh, this is our hero. Pretty cool. And then she's like, no, you're not going to kill us. And so she gets her clothes back on kind of, and she grabs a gun and points it at him, but she doesn't really know how to use it. And so he drops like this big heavy sail on her, the sail on the ship, drops it on her, then grabs an oar and starts just smacking her with the oar in the sail until she drops the gun.
I'm like, he probably looked at her and said, that's all right, Pilgrim. I'll figure out a way to do this. It feels very much like Hondo. Right? Like he's just totally in control and is just like, I'm a badass. I'm going to teach you the ways of the sea, Like, and he's being like rejecting her, but also being like, yeah, but I kind of do like you, I guess. But
I guess so.
It feels very like Western.
No, that's what I was fucking saying.
I know, and I'm agreeing with you, and I'm showing you it feels like Hondo. It feels like very John Wayne style.
It does. I see what you're saying now. Yeah.
Basically human interaction about like he's so badass, he's so disconnected from everyone, he's so different, so flippant of what everyone else wants and needs, and he's just like, I could kill you at any moment. Isn't that badass?
Isn't that cool?
And I'm gonna start beating you to show you that I'm powerful, woman.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. That's
and
how
honestly,
it feels.
Something comes up later that's also very Hondo, like specific.
And
I'll get into it.
And that's a generic Western trope, right?
Yeah, but it's also one that didn't age very well, so it's like weird to see it in this movie.
They're like, hey, we're gonna not do weird stuff with native people.
Yeah,
but
that was his last movie, Dances with Wolves. Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, so so that happens. Then he poses dramatically on top of his ship, like, oh, I don't like women. We cut back to Deacon, and he's like, I want a new eye. So he gets an artist to make an eye for him, and it looks bad and gross. And he's like, what do you guys think? And everyone's like, it looks great. And he looks over at a little kid, and he's like, what do you think? And the kid's like, it looks like ass. And he's like, ha, I love kids. They're honest with you. And then he like pulls the eye out and just throws it away. And then he's like, yeah, we're wasting gas. And everyone's like, yeah, we're wasting gas. And he's like, doesn't matter. Who cares? And then the other really great thing. So obviously they're looking for dry land, right?
Yeah.
They're all looking for dry land. Do you know why he's looking for dry land?
To expand on it, baby. To make more shit.
To make a golf course.
Oh, I didn't know it was exactly a golf course. That's so funny.
He has like old VHS tapes of golf courses. And I remember this from the stunt show where remember he's always fucking around with,
He
like
wasn't playing golf.
yeah. So
Oh.
the reason
This
he's
is just a funny thing.
the reason he's looking for Dryland is because he wants to make it into a fucking golf resort.
I love it. The least efficient. I love the water.
How great is that?
I love the Water Republican Party. What can I say? They're the best.
Yeah. Rather than an elephant, it's a whale or something.
Yeah, wait, that's
Yeah.
the new version. That's exactly the biggest thing.
I fucking love it. Like, it was so good. I was like, this is the kind of villain I need. It's like, he's not sympathetic. He's weird. He's crazy and over the top. He's so fun to watch. And then we come back to Mariner, and he's like the real villain. Like, at one point, Enola's like Enola's like, hey, thanks for not killing us. And she's like drawing Enola over his boat. And he's like, this is ugly. Don't draw on my boat. And he picks Enola up and tosses her into the water.
That is exactly like the kid. Wait, I thought about that. I had that vibe when I was watching the movie too, because he was jumping in the water with her and being like, "Yeah, just do this, kid."
She can't swim.
And it feels just like in Hondo, where he throws the kid into the water.
He
or
throws
something.
the kid's like, I can't swim, and so he just tosses the kid into the water. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He does exactly the same thing here. But again, just like in Hondo, I'm like, fuck him. Don't do that shit.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. And she can't swim. So yeah, so eventually Helen has to jump in to help, and then Mariner.
These shitty guys with a heart of gold, like they've changed a lot,
Which is, I love the idea of a shitty guy with a heart of gold, right? But like, to me, it feels more like he was a shitty guy and then he learned a tolerance over time. Like,
Yeah.
it feels a bit more like Beauty and the Beast situation. But instead of the Beast just being kind of rude and loud, he's like full on like abusive and shitty.
Yeah, really physically abusive.
Yeah, exactly. So right, so he ends up help rescue Enola, brings her back to the ship, and Helen's like, if you ever fucking do that again, I will fucking kill you. Yeah, which I'm like, good luck. Then a smoker
Clarice.
shows up, flies over with a plane. They harpoon it down. Helen helps take the plane down, but she has to touch something on the ship in order to do it. And Mariner, out of anger, cuts her hair off and scares them and says, and he doesn't say sorry for it. So she has like shorter hair now because of when Mariner like freaked out and like cut her hair short.
Okay.
And then now they're like terrified of him. Now like they barely talk, they barely move, they just try to sit in the middle of the ship. And it's just bad times overall, man.
Mm-hmm.
What happens next? Deacon now knows where they're headed because the pilot that they shot down is like picked up by them, so they sort of know what direction they're going in, so they're following. Mariner eats tomatoes from a plant, but he doesn't share, not even the seeds, with Helen and Enola. And then another drifter shows up. And he asks for resin from the guy, and the guy's like, I don't have resin, what are you talking about? And then he's like, but if a drifter meets another drifter, something must be exchanged. And this other drifter, this crazy drifter, looks at Helen and Enola, and he's like, how much for the women?
Ugh.
And then he's like, oh, they're not. And Helen's like, we are not for sale. And he's like, are you sure? I've got some paper. And he's got like pieces of like paper with like writing on it. And he's like,
what does that mean? He's like, it would sell her for just some random paper.
Apparently paper is like super like valuable in this time.
That's definitely not valuable for a Mariner because he's got a shitload of paper.
Well, he
got the
apparently
have you seen those National Geographics he has yet?
I have not.
Okay.
But apparently it is valuable to him because he's like, all right, 30 minutes with the older woman and you can give me the paper.
Jeez.
And this guy is fucking nuts. This guy is like, I don't already feel safe the fact that like he's just standing near these people now. And then he's like, how about 45 minutes with the little one over there? And Mariner's like, no, 30 minutes with Helen's fine.
Hold on. Selling children out for, but older women, they don't have any control.
They can
of their
take care of
bodies.
themselves. Yeah.
Kids, no.
Yeah. So
he draws a line. Look, he's such a moral guy.
Isn't he great?
Yeah.
And so she goes down, and he's like, all right, 30 minutes. It's time to take control. And he's like being really fucking creepy with her. But then after a couple of minutes, a Mariner busts in. And he's like, you know what? The trade's off. And he's like, you can't take the trade off. And he's like, well, I just did. And then he pulls a knife. Mariner
so
pulls
it's not
a
like
knife.
he was like down and then he's just like,
I think I kind of think that he was looking at the paper and reading and he's like, I already have this. Like, I don't think it was actually like a moral choice. I think he's probably like,
trade me some Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
Bulbasaur. I fucking already have Bulbasaur.
Yeah,
Get back here.
Get that shit back. Yeah. I don't want you to go with my sister anywhere or whatever,
Yeah.
So they end up fighting. Mariner ends up killing him. And that's the end of my half of the movie.
Wow, what a cool.
This is why I'm like,
why
fuck
does
this
this scene
guy.
exist? I don't understand this.
Yeah, he's a bad guy, man. He's
I
a
don't
bad
understand
guy.
this. Okay, we got. I say the bad guys are looking for Kevin Costner. He's like,
Mhm.
I don't want to fish.
Yeah.
He says to Kevin Costner says to the two people on the boat who they're like, we're gonna try fishing. Can you catch us some fish? And he's like, you won't catch shit with that. And he grabs their fishing rod, throws it away.
Oh.
And they're like, well, what the fuck? He's like, we ate 2 days ago. You don't need anything like that. You know, you're fine. He's like, please, can you get some fish? He's like, fine. So he goes in the water and he like ties himself to the boat and he jumps in the water. And they're like, what is he doing? And then a big fucking shark, like a creepy mutant shark appears. And
I was wondering what the fish looked like.
Basically tries to eat him.
Whoa.
And then it cuts to him and they all have food. So clearly
wow.
he used that shark, killed it.
Is that we didn't get to see him kill
I know.
the shark?
Yeah, because it looked like he died. The kid's happy, humming. And the kid's like, Noel's like, you don't like my singing. And I'm like, it's not singing, kid. It's humming. You're just humming the whole time. He's like, don't you ever shut up, kid? He's like, no. It's like, don't you want to hear the sounds? You never like pay attention to anything. It's like, there's nothing to pay attention to. He's like, that's what you're missing, kid. Just shut up. You just got to shut up and listen to the sounds.
When Grandpa plays a vinyl for you for the first
time.
time.
Basically that.
Yeah.
And the kid's jealous of his feet because the kid can't swim. It's like, you got, and I'm just like, these feet are so ugly.
Yeah.
Why would you be jealous of that?
They also don't look like actually that like thermodynamic.
Everyone's
hydrodynamic?
Yeah. I know what you meant. It's okay, Mike. We get you.
Cool.
We understand you. I'm not gonna make fun
I don't
want
to
to
be misunderstood.
Like Mariner, I'm not gonna be like him.
Thank goodness.
I'm not gonna throw you in the water or to the wolves.
I can't
the
swim.
Podcasting wolves.
Yeah.
So he has jazz CDs. He's listening to jazz.
Boy.
He's got music. They're like, wow, this is amazing.
It's the notes they don't play.
So how does he get the power?
I don't know.
Doesn't make any sense.
Maybe he has like a record player that's
Maybe he has
like
some batteries or something.
A cranking record player.
It doesn't seem. No, it was like a CD player.
Oh, I thought it was a record. No, it's a CD.
Pretty sure it was
CD
CD player.
Maybe batteries.
Maybe
but how would he get batteries?
But batteries would expire so quickly. I feel. They don't last forever.
That's true.
Helen says, "I don't know your name." He's like, "You never will." She explains like how she found Enola. He's like, Enola like arrived in a basket with dirt, and like we knew she was like from somewhere else, and like as a way of the custom of the people, they were just gonna kill her. But I was like, no, and they're like, fine, you can keep her, but you can never have a kid of your own.
What the fuck?
Well, because there's not enough. Like what they basically are doing is they're like population control.
Oh,
so they're like, you have to. We have a certain amount of kids. We can't have too many mouths to feed, not enough water, not enough resources to go around.
Right.
Very restrictive. Which is interesting then that those people really wanted him to impregnate this little girl.
Yeah. I think it was more like we have this small community. We want to make sure that, people don't
do cousin stuff.
Intercopulate. Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Costner is now like taking a liking to Elena and is like throwing her in the water, like swimming with her. Enola. Yeah, Enola. Is putting in the water and swimming with her.
My phone kept autocorrecting Enola to Ebola.
Ebola? It's one letter off.
Yeah.
And to swim, Helen is upset because there are monsters in the water, and he's like, "No, don't worry, the monsters are asleep." And I'm like, "It's fucking daytime, but okay." Costner's like, we need to repair our boat. We need to find some people. So they like find these people who speak Portuguese.
Oh,
but it's their own language. It's like a buoy or something out
there. Doesn't this feel a little bit like Avatar-y? Where it's like people have like different languages, especially the new one that came out. That's like takes place in water. There's like a lot of like
a little bit.
There's like warring factions.
Here's the thing: Avatar's a beautiful looking movie. This movie's not pretty at all.
Very
this looks like
dirty
hell and gross.
That's true.
Costner says in Europe. Okay, so yeah, they find this buoy thing, and there's a bunch of people waving on. They're like, "Oh, it's cool." But
Baba buoy.
But then they look closer, and they realize that all the people are tied up to strings and are waving.
Oh no,
and
it's a trap.
And he goes and looks at his periscope in his boat. He's like, "Oh shit!" There's a bunch of people underwater with jet skis that are like tied, waiting up to go. And I'm like, "That's pretty cool."
How cool is that? I love when they put the jet skis underwater.
That's such a cool idea.
Insane. Yeah.
Yeah, so these like, oh
it's
shit,
the smokers.
This is smokers. So they try and escape, but obviously our boy, not the mariner. Who's the other guy's name? Deacon is like, oh, they're trying to get away, get them. And so they fire off the flare, which is funny because they just fire off the flare into the water so that the jet sea people can see it
underwater.
And they launch up. It looks cool, and then they start driving around. Let's see. They evade them. They actually throw like a. They try to the jet skis go around and the boat and they try to capture him with the rope. And the way they do it is they have all the people go to the side of the boat to raise up one of the sides of the boat that has like a knife under it, and it cuts the rope under it, which I think is a cool little effect.
How great is like the action shot in this movie?
It's so cool.
It's so clear.
It's so
like
easy to see what's going on.
It's a very complicated, a lot of complicated action, but it never feels like messy.
No, I know exactly what's happening the entire time.
It's very impressive.
They evade him, but Dennis Hopper gets one shot on our boy Mariner, and he hits him.
Oh no!
And then Helen is like, "You were gonna sell us," and I was like, "What does this mean? What are you talking about?"
There you go.
I thought it was something different. I thought they were gonna. It was like, these are people I'm just gonna sell them to slavery, not like sex stuff. Which is
there
weird.
are apparently they reference this.
It's not like it's any better. But no.
They reference at the very beginning. There's slavers as well, like
Yeah.
people that take on slaves, and apparently they were gonna have a whole scene where we meet the slavers, but then due to like a hurricane, the set got destroyed, and I'm like, honestly.
Probably the best. Also, movie 3 hours long.
I know you're gonna put
you
more.
You don't
in
need
this?
to put more in this movie. It's so long already.
Yeah.
I know they're trying to make an epic, but come on.
Epic piece of crap.
They start fighting with each other. They say, "I should have killed you the day you were born." And then he's
what
like,
a mean thing to say to a
well,
person.
I think, yeah, I know. And it's like, what are the marks on her back? We need to stop lying here because they're all pissed off at each other. It's like, he's like, I don't know. And he's like, it's a map to Dryland is what everyone thinks it is, Helen says. And he's like, Dryland's a myth. She's like, how do you know that? He's like, 'cause I've been around the entire water. I ain't seen it. And I'm like, it's not a really good reason.
I've been all around the water.
You clearly have stuff. Like, where'd you get all these weird things? Like that player with the music box and all that
Where'd
stuff.
you get the dirt?
Yeah, and he's like, all right, I'll show you where Dryland is. So it's also funny because he steps away from her in this scene, and the next scene is her looking straight at him. And he has not left the scene.
Oh,
it's about like, ooh, cinema sin. So they have so much footage. Just cut that part out. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
apparently, so here's the thing. We saw the 3-hour cut. That was not the theatrical version.
Oh, it was slightly shorter?
It's much shorter. They edited it down quite significantly. And then later on, apparently, this movie has a fan base that edited a full version of the movie together using like different forms. And then when the movie got ported to like Blu-ray, the actual like Universal Studios was like, you know what, we have all that footage anyway. Let's just like put it together like ourselves.
That makes a lot of sense because some pieces of footage looked worse than other parts.
Oh, really?
To me, it looked like it was like shot on not like video, but just wasn't as clear and crisp as some of the other parts.
Well, that explains it.
Interesting. So we watched the extended version.
That
explains a lot.
Let me look it up. But it is significantly shorter.
I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah.
So she goes. So he's like, all right, check this out. So this like bubble thing. He says, she's like, can Enola come? He's like, no, there's only enough air for one person. So they basically go down underwater with this like bubble kind of like craft thing, and he swims alongside her, which at this moment I didn't know he could breathe underwater. So I'm like, what the fuck is he going to do? But there's this they go underwater in this whole huge ass city that's under there, and it's been completely flooded and destroyed. And it looks really
is
cool.
it an actual city? Like, can you identify it?
It doesn't really. I didn't see any like identifying landmarks.
Okay.
There's like a submarine there. He grabs dirt off the ground, like throws it at her. It's like, look, dirt. And they see a bunch.
Baby.
Enola then sees a bunch of stuff while they're underwater, even though they said she'd be fine. She sees a bunch of like what looks like sharks in the water.
Monster sharks.
And they come up and she's like, there's no way anyone will believe this or know about this. He's like, I know, no one can dive that deep or whatever.
Because of him.
And because it kind of makes sense because like she can breathe under that little apparatus, but they're going down on kind of like a pulley system that he attached.
Because like,
he can attach it because he can dive that deep. You know, he doesn't need air.
But she would not be able to swim down there.
Exactly. So that's why he's the only one who can get this cool stuff.
That's interesting. That's a cool little thing.
Yeah, it's cool. Anyway, the Raiders are here and they arrived and they already are like, where's the fucking kid? And Deacon's there on the boat. He's like, look at my bad eye. It sucks. It didn't used to look this way.
Doesn't look gross.
It does look gross.
I love it. I love that like
so
makeup effect.
They can't find Enola and they won't tell him where she is. But then they're like, all right, we'll kill you both then. Because we've never had someone just not give up someone. And Noah's like, I'm here. Don't kill them. And of course they take her.
Of course.
And they're like, well, let's kill him now. And then they jump in the water. And she's like, I can't swim in the water or I can't breathe like you can. He's like, I'll breathe for both of us.
What does that mean?
Oh, well.
What does that mean?
The guys find the National Geographic and are amazed. And they're like, look at all this stuff in here. This is crazy. Because he knows about like the old world. And like, look at all space that used to exist. And they dive into the water and he breathes for both of them. And the way I do that is he puts his mouth on her for a
so
long
nervous.
time.
I was so nervous.
How else is he gonna do it though?
I mean, not that.
In my mind, I was like, this is fine. But knowing all their preamble stuff beforehand,
Ethan's like,
I thought this was the first time they had any sort of like chemistry or any sort of like sexual encounter or anything like that.
Wait. Sorry, is this Helen?
This is Helen. Did I say Nola?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I was like, no.
No. And Nola got captured.
Yeah. I think that's. I think maybe I was confused.
No, I probably said Enola.
Okay, thank God.
But yes,
I was like, no, you're not gonna fucking breathe for a little girl.
Yeah, I realized where you're like, and you're okay with this?
Yeah.
No. No.
Well, you were like, well, how else are you gonna do it?
How else are you gonna do it though? No, he does it for.
All right, yeah.
He does it for.
It's still pretty bad for Helen though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's not as weird.
Yeah.
But she seems kind of into it.
All right, so I looked up the length of the movie originally. Preferred 3-hour cut of the film was drastically edited. Huh? Preferred is what it says on IMDb.
Yeah, okay.
Was edited to an 135-minute theatrical version, which is a pretty significant
That's
cut.
like 40 minutes or like 30 or 40 minutes off. That's pretty big.
Kevin Costner was behind this as well as the studio because Kevin Costner had just been in a 3-hour-long epic about Wyatt Earp that had been a massive box office bomb. ABC later broadcast an extended TV version that restored almost 40 minutes of deleted scenes.
Waterworld, not Wyatt Earp, right?
Of Waterworld. Additional scenes, blah, 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 blah. After a TV special, blah, 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 blah. So basically they created fans created a fan edit of the TV version and the movie version put together. And that's the version I think we're seeing.
Interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Okay. That kind of explains a bit.
Yeah.
40 minutes, that's so much.
That's a lot of movie. And honestly, probably for the best.
It could have cut that
I
out,
think
honestly.
that's the preferred version.
I would watch that. Does it cut out a lot of the creepy, weird
it doesn't
sex
say.
stuff? Probably not.
It doesn't say. They probably kept all that in because that definitely like played well.
Sure, totally.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they try repairing the boat. It's all fucked up, but they try doing it. They come back up for air. Yeah. Okay, so we cut to Hopper. He's like, let's build some highways and some freeways on Dryland. Let's go. And he's driving around in a car.
Oh,
they have a car on.
Yes, they have a car in that refinery that they are.
It's not a refinery. Have you seen it? It's just a big oil tank, like a big boat. It's a massive boat.
Yeah.
Like a cargo container.
Yeah.
So he now talks to Enola. He's like, I got to try to figure out. He's like, I'm great with kids. I'll figure out what her back says, and I can figure out a way to get to Dryland. Obviously, no, she knows nothing.
No, she doesn't.
He's like, I'm good with kids. All right, hey kid, you want a cigarette? You like to draw, huh? You want to sit on my lap? He's basically saying everything a kid does not want to do.
Right.
And it's like, here, I got some markers. Tell me about your map.
I like how you're doing a weird Elvis impersonation.
Hey,
mama. Well, it's the one for the money.
Little one here, little lady.
Lord have mercy.
So he's like, all right, I won't get anything with her. I'll come back to her. So he starts talking. And he's like, listen, we are the church of eternal growth. We need more land, and we need more people.
Mm-hmm.
And which is unsustainable.
Right.
So she's like, I'm not going to tell you what you want to know. He's like, fine. And okay, hold on. So Helen says, I had no idea where this came from. She says, why didn't you take me?
Why didn't you fuck me earlier?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And he says, you really didn't want me. So he's a gentleman. You didn't really want him.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's like, but I do now. And then they fuck.
Well, there you go.
So
for this whole time, I thought he didn't have a dick.
Oh.
I thought he was a fish man or something.
No, I wish. That'd be way more interesting. And he's like, why do you want to find dry land so bad? And Helen's like, well, look, unlike you, I'm not made. Us people, we're not made for the sea, man.
Right.
It sucks out here. It sucks for us. Our feet can't swim. It's not for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly Gregor appears, flying, and
he's like, I saw the whole thing.
I saw this whole smashing session.
Yeah,
because I live in a silent ecological flying machine.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he's like, smart thinking, burning the boat. I wouldn't have known where to pick you up. Obviously, they didn't do it on purpose.
Obviously.
They find the other survivors of whatever the thing is that blew up. They're at the old craft or whatever you're talking about. The sanctuary. What do they call it?
The atoll is what
the
they
atoll. Yes, that's what it's called in the thing. Yeah.
That came out of my brain. I didn't even have that shit written down.
Wow, that's amazing. You just went back to the stunt show and were like, what do they call that thing? The atoll. It's a weird name.
It is a weird name, and they never it's not capitalized. I think that's just what it's referred to as.
Yeah. So they welcome him to, the survivor thing. He's apprehensive. Now I understand why they captured him.
Yep.
All the survivors are very lazy, and they don't care about Dryland anymore. Like, whatever. And even Helen is now like, Dryland doesn't exist. He says it doesn't, but, Gregor's like, oh, no, it definitely exists. And he finds, like, the maps that Mariner had, and he's like, oh, I could translate this. If we could find these are the markings on her map. We can put them together. Like,
put 21 gigawatts.
Put it together. It's basically that. So we got to go find her. And they're like, I don't know. No one cares. Helen cares. No one cares.
But Helen cares.
And now, of course, Mariner's going to be a bad guy. He's like, I'm going to leave. And Enola's like, she says, like, Enola thought you were a friend. What am I going to tell her?
Yeah.
And he says, just tell her some lies. And then he drives off.
How do you like his
boat,
acting
basically?
in the movie?
He's just so boring.
Right?
It's
He's so bland.
There's no like charisma behind him. He just feels to be like he
seems like
he's so bland. It's like he's supposed to be an audience surrogate for someone being like, man, I want to be a badass like him. Of course you can, 'cause he's so boring. You might project your own personality onto him because he's so bland.
I mean, it's possible that Costner was also just bored of making this movie.
He might have been really tired.
Yeah, he's probably like, I don't want to be in this fucking movie
And like
anymore.
Helen's giving it her all.
Yeah, she's killing it.
She's doing a good
Everyone
job.
else is doing a great job.
Yeah, he just seems so bored by everything.
Yeah.
So he sails off in a boat, and then he's like looking at National Geographics, and he sees that Alona has drawn a palm tree, and like one of the drawings are like somewhere, and he's like, "Oh shit!" I don't know if that makes him believe that she's actually from, because they think that she's from Kokomo. She thinks that she's from. They think she's from Dryland, right?
Right.
And now he kind of believes it because she drew that shit without seeing his geographics.
Right.
National Geographics.
Yes. That's
so like
right.
she knows what a palm
How does
tree
he
looks
know
like.
that she didn't see the geographics?
Right, that's what I was thinking.
She's been on the ship
it
this like whole time.
It must have been locked up or something, but I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
Gotta
so
lock up
he
the
decides,
magazines.
So the smokers show up to the survivors barge, and I love it. These guys are so shittily written. They're just two guys. They're just randomly there, and the people are like, oh, "You two people." This guy named Bones and someone else are like, "You've already destroyed our home. Why can't you leave us alone?" And the guy who's asking all the questions is like, "I don't know, character thing, I guess."
That's great.
And then Kevin Costner shows up and kills one of them, and then kills the other guy, and then is like, "I'm back. We're gonna find Enola." So yeah, the weird guy.
Now he's a good guy.
Yeah, the weird guy's still trying to interpret the map.
Yeah.
He's like, "Well,
weird guy.
We'll get you there." And so they I think they fly over. No, they don't fly over. He takes a boat and they try going there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Kevin's like, it's upside down. This was a map for not the ocean, but for the land that's beneath it. And I know this is where the land is because I've been down there. And Helen confirms, yeah, he's been down there. He can go down there.
Right.
So now we know the direction where and he's like, but now how are we gonna find where the smokers came from?
Right.
Like where are we gonna find them? Because there's no map. And he's like, he lights a Molotov cocktail and throws it into the water, and all the oil they burned, it leads a trail of where they came from. Yeah, because there's so much of it, and they waste it all. Very funny.
There's some really good shit.
That's the thing is like, if you didn't tell me your half of the movie, I was like, this movie's a lot of fun. I would love to watch it, but the weird.
It's all of the background shit. It's like the background characters, the world that's been created. The attention to detail
of like how the world works. If it wasn't for such a bland protagonist and the weird sex stuff going on,
yeah,
this movie would be great. I would be such a blast to watch because my half is amazing. I loved it.
Yeah.
So let's see.
Just again, you can cut half of this movie and not miss much. You know.
Honestly, you really can. So the weird guy's like, I could fly there. Helen, we could fly there. He could take the ground. So obviously I think he takes a jet ski or a boat. It doesn't matter. To go to the area. It doesn't matter. To find where the oil tanker is. Mm-hmm. And so some guys are still trying to interpret the back of Enola on the oil tanker. And they're like, it would be so much easier if I could lay it out flat. And
so they're gonna skin her.
Yeah, so they have to obviously gives some sort of stakes. And Hopper's like, I don't know. You're going to like skin it and put it up? Yeah, whatever. That's fine. And then he looks up at a sea captain there. And it's...
Sea captain?
Yeah, and it's Joe Hazelwood. Do you have any idea who Joel Hazelwood is? He says,
no.
My deacon, my saint, will be with you soon. We will expand for everything.
I'm assuming he's some kind of famous sea captain.
He is.
From the olden days.
Joe Hazelwood was responsible for the 1989 Exxon Valdez oil spill.
Ha! 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 Ha!
The references go deeper than that because the tanker they're on is actually the Exxon Valdez actual tanker.
Oh my God.
Yes, so they're still riding on
you know
it. So that's why he has his captain picture up there.
You know what's crazy is like that probably happened kind of around when this movie probably came out.
1989. Yeah, that's not too far after the movie came out.
Imagine watching, like, you're like, you know what, Joe? Is that his name, Joe?
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? I think I deserve a movie. I fucked up pretty bad at work today. I'm gonna go watch a fun little action movie.
He did fuck up real bad because he's accused of being intoxicated while driving the boat.
I mean, yeah, he fucked up bad. But imagine going like, I'm going to escape my troubles and watch this movie called Waterworld. And then you end up being like the hero, the villain's hero, basically. How great would that be?
He was cleared of his charge at a 1990 trial after witnesses testified that he was sober around the time of the accident. He died in 2022, so not too long ago.
Wow, that's fucking nuts, dude.
I know. It's a wild choice to just have someone of an ecological disaster like just being pointed there. Yeah, named.
That's amazing. I love this fucking villain, dude.
I know.
That's crazy.
And he like idolizes
that would be like
him.
if a villain was like, my hero, and it's like Elon Musk, you know, like a poster of Elon or something.
I think,
or even someone more private.
I was gonna say Elon Musk he's done bad things. I don't know if about the amount of ecological disaster as such as he's made other types of disasters.
I'm looking suspicious.
I mean, I'm trying to think of someone who spilled like millions of pounds of oil into the water, or someone who just bought Twitter and made it shitty.
Well, and also uses a private jet for the drop of a hat for no reason.
Taylor Swift does that too. Whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's not great. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying someone who was willfully. I mean, that's the other thing that's also kind of funny is that they're villainizing this guy who spilt. Like, had a bad day on his job and spilled a bunch of oil. Yeah. Not great, right?
No.
Seems like it was an accident. Seems like the real problem is Exxon, and it's the way it handles probably things going on. And maybe, maybe he was too tired of a shift. It's just like they're blaming this one guy.
I love that shit.
When it's
so
like
hard.
they should blame maybe they should blame Exxon a little more.
Yeah.
And maybe put like an Exxon logo or something or
is
some
that
bullshit.
not on the side of the ship?
No,
I probably didn't want to get sued by Exxon.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's on the back of the ship, is it? Because there's a scene where scene where it sinks. At spoilers.
What?
And they put the back that has the name of it on the back, but
just
I can't
Titanic.
can't remember what the back of it was. If you could look that up, that'd be great.
I'll look it up.
Anyway. Maybe it did say Exxon at the back, which would be, I think, better. But I can't remember. I was kind of like, I just feel bad crucifying this guy, kind of. But I don't know. I don't know. It's like blaming one bad actor compared to like the entire system.
Who's like kind of a private citizen as well. Like it's,
that's the thing. Is he didn't buy Twitter to make it be the main character, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like dunking on Elon Musk is like that's fun and easy to do, but it would be like, I don't know, the guy who fucked up the Fukushima disaster or something like that, right?
Or like the person who like poorly painted Jesus, it's like they're doing their best.
I guess that's true. Poorly painted Jesus doesn't hurt anyone. Anyway,
it hurts art.
It hurts art, I guess.
I'm not seeing Exxon on this ship.
What does it say on the back? It's on the butt of the ship when it's sinking.
Oh,
it's a very obvious shot.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Anyway. So weird because the barge looks like it's covered in coral, so it must have been in there for a long time. I guess it's the barnacles.
That's cool.
All fucked up. He climbs up to the top of it. He's the deacon of the D's, and I wish so badly he would say D's nuts. I know.
He didn't say D's nuts?
No, he did not.
What a shame.
All the people show up, and they're all like a huge amount of people on the top of this tanker, like massive. And he's got like a microphone. He's very Immortan Joe in this scene where he like throws out a bunch of spam onto the deck, and everyone's eating the spam, and they're so hyped. But they're like, we're tired of your visions. Where's this land you promised us? And he's like, listen here. I found a child, and it's going to be great. And
this child's going to be great.
She's got all the secrets, and here she is. Hey!
Welcome to the stage.
Pretty much.
Ebola.
Kevin Costner jumps and kills some dudes. They were going to rat him out. He steals their disguise. He then sneaks in and rams a dude on a jet ski right into a wall.
Whoa.
And they're like, oh, two guys are like, oh, you killed him. Yeah, fuck that guy. He sucks. And he's like, okay, cool. So he starts running around.
The ship does have Exxon written on it, but it's like faded, so it's kind of hard to see. But it is there.
Okay, is it when it's sinking? It's a pretty obvious shot.
I couldn't find that one shot, but there was like a model built of this thing for when it was sinking, and so you do see it on the side of the.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it does say Exxon
Okay,
Valdez
cool.
then, so that's good.
That's cool.
I'm glad they blamed them a little bit.
Somewhat. Yeah.
They really fucked up that one guy's life.
I know. I want to know what he thought about that.
Clearly, he was already like not a public figure anyway. I'm sure, right? Because he got thrust into the limelight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But definitely not
complicated feelings about that. I clearly have.
I have a little bit of complicated feelings, but ultimately, I still think
It's kind of dope
that the villain like pointed out him like as a guy he looks up to.
It's pretty cool.
I love that shit so hard. Yeah.
Anyway, so people know Kevin Costner's on board because he starts killing people. What does he say? What are we going to do if there's dry land? We say we're going to ram it, he says.
We're going to ram the land?
Oh, he says if there's a tree on dry land, they're going to ram it. They're like all about destroying this dry land, basically.
Yeah, because they're going to build the golf course on it.
Exactly. And like Enola is like talking to the long-haired lion guy, and he's like he's gonna come save me. He's like, he's not gonna come save you. He's like, yeah, he doesn't have a name, so death can't find him. And he goes to his whole monologue about how he can do all this crazy shit, and he's in this moment like killing people, and it's like making him look super badass. Let's see. And so after the Deacon shows off the kid, he inspires everyone to move the barge, and I love this scene because everyone's like, yeah, we're so hyped. So they get into the bottom area of the barge, and they all have giant oars, and they just start rowing, which is badass because they have all this diesel, but it's not good enough.
Yeah,
to move a barge. It'd be so much of a waste of diesel.
Right.
So, but instead they're like, we're gonna fucking just row.
That's crazy.
And they're like, and so the Deacon's crony is like his line is looking at this empty deck. And they're like, wait, so where are we going? He's like, I don't know. We're going to figure that out. And he's like,
they don't know.
And they're like, so you're just going to row? We're going to have them row? And they're like, it'll be like a couple weeks before they figure out we don't know where we're going. So we got some time to figure it out.
I love it, man.
I know, it's so good. And so then Kevin Costner just walks out in the open with his mask on. No one can really see who he is. Like, who's that guy? Who's that guy? And they look down in this open, huge barge, and he's just standing there, and he takes off his mask. Pulls out a flare and he lights it, and this is where they sacrifice the diesel into like this big pit.
Right.
And he has a flare and he's holding it
Drops
right over there.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're not gonna fucking do that. You're not gonna blow up the ship. It would kill all of us. He's like, he's not bluffing. And the little girl's like, he's not bluffing.
Yeah.
He's like, you're bluffing. And he's like, all right. And he just drops the torch down.
Oh my god.
Into this huge pool. This is my favorite scene in the whole movie. This huge pool of diesel, just all of the diesel they have,
right,
huge pool of it. And there's a guy working under there, and he looks at the flare as it lands into the pool of diesel, and he goes, "Oh, thank God!" And then it explodes, and he dies. Like his life is so shitty down there.
He just
wants to be fucking killed.
That's awesome.
It's so good.
Oh, I love it.
And then basically the whole place just starts exploding. All the sides blow out. Everything's on fire. The long-haired dude drives a car. He's very excited about it. Kevin Costner does a cool stunt where he like rides over him and shoots his buddy, and then he crashes. Ilona gets stolen by the Deacon, put on a biplane thing, but Kevin Costner, as badass as he is at the very top of the barge, shoots down a zip line, attaches, zips across next to the plane as it tries taking off. He zip lines down, shoots a grappling hook to the bottom part of the plane, which fucks up the landing gear, and the plane crashes.
Oh my god!
And he pulls Ilona out.
Enola.
I put Ilona now. Enola out of the wreckage and hugs her, and and the tanker starts sinking, and he escapes with her. Because luckily there are flying friends that are there. They rescue her and him, and they're getting up. They're climbing up the top, and they're rescued. But then they shoot and knock Enola off the flying machine, and she lands there. And this is where you see the sinking of the Exxon Valdez going under. And
how great is that sinking?
It's so good.
Yeah. I think this predates Titanic.
It looks pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
So all three. So you got Deacon and two of the other guys are on jet skis, and they see Enola fall in the water. Like, we gotta get her because if I can't have Dryland, no one will.
Man, I love this shit.
I
He's
know.
like the most evil villain.
I love it. He's so good.
Yeah.
And so they all drive at the same time. They try to get her. Kevin Costner is like, take this. He ties this thing around his stomach. It's a bungee cord. And he jumps. And he's like, quick, tie this quickly. So Helen like quickly ties it to the flying machine. And then right when he ties it, he gets down there, grabs Enola, bungee jumps up. And all three of the jet ski guys are going right to where Enola was. And they all look at each other and go, oh no. And then they just crash and explode.
That's
into each other.
awesome.
It was great.
Oh my
And
God.
I'm like,
that
man.
sounds awesome.
Movie's so good. Love this movie.
This
It's
is great.
ridiculous. Great sets, great action,
Yeah.
ridiculous one-liners, over-the-top villains. Love
Yeah.
this movie so far. Love it.
How could it get?
How
it-
could
There's
it
no
get-
way it could get.
There's no
bad.
way it could get bad.
Yeah. Sounds like it's perfect.
Well, they
Hidden
still gotta
gem.
they still gotta learn about Dryland. And
No.
I'm still like interested.
Sure.
Like,
You're like, I mean, Dryland. That's what they've been trying to find the
let's
whole
see
time.
if it exists.
Yeah.
So the old guy's like looking at the numbers, looks at the back of her back where the tattoo is, and they're like, I think I know. He's like, I know where Dryland is, and everyone's like kind of scared by this, which is a weird reaction. I don't know if that was meant to be that way. So it's like, if I figure it out and we turn it this way, Dryland is that way. So they immediately just go to it, which I thought would be weird. I thought they'd get the survivors, but they're just like, fuck the survivors.
'em.
We're just gonna
Yeah.
go. So they fly towards it. Everyone is dehydrated, look like shit. But Kevin Costner's changed. You know, he got a little bit of water out, and he puts it on Enola's lips as she's sleeping. Like, fucking take this little bit of water. You know, he's so good.
Right. This is my piss.
I know, right? Now that I know that. So suddenly a seagull appears in the aircraft, and he's like, oh my God. And they see a big-ass mountain
Oh my God.
with a gorgeous waterfall, and they're all amazed by
Oh my
it.
God.
And they land, and they find some huts with some skeletons inside of it.
Oh no.
And
They're dead.
yeah, and they're like, maybe we should put them in the dirt. That must have been the way they lived, I guess. And I
Put 'em
guess
in the
it seems
dirt.
like they known they were gonna die because they find other sketches of the same map that's on Enola's back. So it must have been her parents. So I guess they sent them off.
Just like Superman.
Oh fuck, you're right.
Oh fucking shit.
They made a Superman. But Enola is not that interesting. Like, well, I like Superman.
Yeah, exactly.
She grabs a music box and cranks it, and it starts playing
Cranks
music.
that shit.
And she's
What's
like,
the song that plays?
She's like, I'm home. Oh, it was Nirvana.
Oh,
It was Nirvana.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was,
never
it,
mind.
It was in bloom. You know?
Yeah.
They were like, this is the hottest hit. It's gonna resonate with the kids.
It's an oldie to them.
Kevin Costner's walking around. He sees wild horses roaming around, which Enola was drawing.
That's
That's
right.
why she knew it. And he's like, I gotta leave now. He says to Helen. Helen's like, no, stay here. He's like, I like you, and I like Alona, and she likes you, and that's cool. And she's like, then why are you leaving? He's like, I don't belong here. Doesn't move right. And he's like, well, they're just saying it's land sickness. You know, you'll get used to it. You get your
Right.
land legs. He's like, I belong out there. Helen's like, you don't understand, do you? And he's like, I need to know if there are other people like me out there.
Yes.
Not like you guys.
you freaks.
You freaks. And she's like, I gotta know. And I'll let you know if any other normal people are out there. He doesn't say this, but if there are other people out there, I'll send them your way. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah.
I just want to stick with what's here. But maybe they need to, of course, make the gene pool bigger so it doesn't get weird. So yeah, maybe it'll be a good time if there's a couple good people, good eggs there.
If there's any hot people, I'll bring them out.
Yeah, send the hotties over.
Yeah,
Swipe
yeah.
right on the hotties. Send them over to this pool.
They all
So-
look like him.
Yeah. So then she's like, there was a guy named Ulysses who's like you, and he drifted around. And he eventually found a warm wind to bring him home to his family, and he never left him again. Like, kind of like saying, like, it's a beautiful story. This should be you. And he's like, nice name. And then
Oh, is that his name now?
I guess maybe that's his name. Anyway,
Okay.
he rides off he gets some plants in his boat, and he sails off, and and everyone else on land uncovers a plaque that says, in 1953, Hillary and Norgay first set foot on the summit of Mount Everest.
Oh.
This is the only place. So there's not much other land around, I would imagine.
Right.
This seems to be the only bit of dry land.
Is because it's a tall,
Yeah.
like mountain.
And that's it. That's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, that ending scene that I described took fucking forever. It felt like 20 minutes long.
Ugh,
Just them
that's
walking around
awful.
being like, dry land, wow. It's like, fucking-
Skeletons.
This isn't interesting because guess what, homie? We got dry land at home.
I've seen it.
I've seen dry land. I'm on it right now.
Yeah. This could have been like a cool like trilogy, right? Where it's
It
like
felt like they were trying to do something more with it.
But like the final movie is them finding Dryland, you know?
Maybe they could have had like a hint of Dryland. I feel like they didn't need to go into too much about it. They could have showed a little bit of it and been like, what's that? It would have been cool if this ended with a seagull landing on the boat.
That's what I'm saying. It's like a hint that Dryland does exist.
But you know, the hint is instead he's gonna find out the mutants or whatever.
I guess so.
And quest
Good
for
luck.
Other cool Kevin Costner people.
Yeah.
Which seems very not interesting. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's better than I was expecting.
It was much better. It was significantly better than I was expecting.
But
then it got significantly worse when I heard your half. Which is a bit of a bummer because I was digging it up until then.
I do think there's a good 145-minute movie here.
I think we could edit this down. We could have the other half cut. Where we cut this down to only the good parts of this movie.
Right.
And cut out a lot of the bullshit that doesn't need to be in there.
Yeah.
Cut out a lot of the stuff.
The weird sex shit.
The stuff of him being just a grumpy guy, like no redeeming qualities, dude. Which is hard to really give him mean qualities. But he does start to get a little bit nicer in my half.
Yeah.
Like, he's
well,
not
make
great,
him just
but
quiet. Just don't make him an asshole.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. There's a good cut in this movie of the Waterworld cut.
Yeah, exactly.
Because man,
or like make him like
sets
awkward. What if he just was really bad at reading people? You know?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't understand that like they're hungry because he just doesn't. You know, like he doesn't know how he's coming.
Which is what they kind of show earlier in the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, what I'm going to say now is I'm starting up the Mariner podcast. Let me tell you the ideals of Mariner here. Welcome to the Mariner Experience.
Oh, no.
The Mariner Experience. I'm all about, putting women in their place. I don't have sex with anyone who wants it. I drink my own fucking piss. I don't share anything with anyone, not even seeds of my discarded plant I'm done eating.
Yeah.
I also love selling women bodies, but not kids.
But not children.
Not children. No, that's wrong.
Children
not
are to
wrong.
be abused.
And that's all that's it. That's all my thoughts. Do you want to listen to my podcast? I'm going to put these out to all the cool people out there.
Yeah, we're going to become the number one podcast on Spotify. We record from a ship.
Yes, exactly.
In the middle of the ocean.
We call the Mariners.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's literally our fan base, the Mariners.
If you guys want to listen to the Mariner podcast, you can find it on any podcatching app. And while you're there, please leave a 5-star rating and review. We'll read it on the show no matter what it says, even if it is on the Mariner podcast comment section.
I'm glad this movie bombed because we could be living in a reality where people were like, Mariner is a cool guy, and these are all his cool ideals.
It's kind of crazy because, it's like, Deacon's a bad guy, but you know who's a good guy? Mariner.
Yeah, and it's like, no, he kind of...
They're both kind of bad guys.
They're kind of bad. Mariner learns some lessons, I guess, and doesn't become a completely terrible person by the end. But he still kind of sucks quite a bit.
I read that Kevin Costner was like going through a divorce at the time, which is why he was like
void of emotion.
Yeah, and also such an asshole. He made his character like way darker because like he was in a dark place.
But it was such a hollow darkness.
I
it definitely
agree.
felt like sad divorced dad energy.
It is. It feels like a divorced dad energy,
which is just boring and depressing and not really someone I want to root for.
You can see plenty of them at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Oh boy. Now, just go watch that instead. That's much
great.
better.
It's a good stunt show.
It's got a cool set.
Mm-hmm. As long as the plane lands, it's a great stunt show.
Yeah.
We went recently and it was middle of the week.
We're showing new people who've never seen it before.
Never seen it before.
The fucking
plane
didn't show
happen.
Up.
It was so upsetting.
And that's like the best part of the show.
That shit rocks so hard. There's a lot of good parts of the show, but that is the best.
That is the creme de crop.
Yes.
Creme de la crop.
The creme de la crop. The creme de la creme.
The icing on the cake.
Mm-hmm.
The whipped cream on the hot cocoa.
The water on the water. The water on the mountain.
Ooh.
There we go.
Ooh. The waterfall on my head.
Yes. The piss in my cup. Good night, everybody.